Good morning, Samir sir. Good morning, sir. Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Sir, good afternoon. Can you hear me?
Ma'am, you are audible.
I think Samir sir is having some technical glitches.
Okay, we'll wait, ma'am.
Am I audible?
Yes, sir. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon.
Welcome to you for the international panel discussion.
Oh, so nice. Thank you.
Shall we start the session, sir?
Yes, yes, please.
Swapna, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Shreya?
Welcome back, everyone, for the second session. So here we are back with the most awaited moment. I request Professor Hetvi Redia ma'am to continue with the session. Over to you, ma'am.
Hello, am I audible? All right. Thank you so much, Shreya. Good afternoon, one and all. I am Assistant Professor Ms. Hetvi Redia from the BMS Department of Vidyalankar School of Information Technology, and I'm honored to introduce all our enthusiastic participants, vibrant panelists, and esteemed expert moderator to our first ever international panel discussion on Startup India, redefining India's growth, drivers, challenges, and pillars of support. We have chosen this most talked about topic where views and perspectives can be given from all the three important aspects: finance, marketing, and HR, which determines the success or failure of startups, in which our students are choosing to specialize during their educational journey. So what are panel discussions? Panel discussions are a useful method of triggering exchange of viewpoints among experts with pre-prepared statements or in response to questions from the audience. They are widely used in conferences. Since they involve on-the-spot interaction, they are not only more difficult to prepare for than presentations, but also more difficult to manage. Because they may involve divergence of viewpoints, possible competition for speaking time, and possibility of divergence of opinion. For the same reasons, they are also much more challenging to moderate than a regular conference session or a presentation. This challenge has been accepted by Dr. Samir Kulkarni, our very special guest for today, who shall be our esteemed expert moderator. It is my great privilege to introduce Dr. Samir Kulkarni. He is a teacher with high TRP. TRP stands for Teaching Experience, Research, and Publication. He has a total of 23 years of teaching experience from various institutions. He is a postgraduate teacher of marketing management subjects in Amity University, where he is working since October 2016. He was also an assistant professor in marketing management at Kohinoor Business School. He has authored 3 textbooks, 2 in the functional area of marketing management, named Virtual Marketing, and second, named Selling and Negotiation. And one is in the area of self-employment, titled as Entrepreneurship Management. Research work is progressing for the 4th book, a book on evolution of product as a marketable concept. He has also written 15 research papers in international journals of repute and presented in international conferences. He has 3 master's degrees and a doctoral degree to his credit. He has extended his consultancy support through statistical analysis for many research projects through SPSS for management and field social projects. On behalf of Vidyalankar School of Information Technology, I, Ms. Hetvi Redia, present you with a token of our appreciation and love. Welcome, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
So rules for the panel discussion. There are total 3 panels, the marketing panel, the finance panel, and the HR panel. Every panel will get 15 minutes to present their facts. The leader of the panel shall introduce the topic and also provide a fitting conclusion to it. Every member of the panel must speak for at least 2 to 3 minutes. After the panel presentations are over, the moderator shall offer their viewpoint and also summarize the session, after which the session shall be open to questions and make it reach a conclusion. I now call upon Dr. Sameer Kulkarni, sir, to address our audience and brief us on the topic and commence our panel discussion session. Dr. Sameer Kulkarni, sir.
Good afternoon to the August gathering. Am I audible? Before we proceed, please confirm.
Yes, sir.
Okay. My young budding, entrepreneurs, the students, and the respected faculty members, and the other panelists and guests called for this discussion. When we are discussing about startups, there is a trend that everybody is now talking about startup, and unfortunately the positive side is highlighted, or the glamour is highlighted. But when we are talking about the glamour side or glamorous attraction of the startups, we should look for the 2 P's, which are very prominent. As I'm a marketing teacher, you must appreciate that these 2 P's are like your 4 P's of marketing. First is the promise. And when the promise is there for the future, there are some pitfalls also, which we need to focus very categorically. The promises are too, heavy, and I'm sure the kind of, support which is there provided by the ecosystem, the startups will, definitely shoulder those things. But why I'm, going to highlight about pitfalls, because as a student, if you find at any point of time that you should jump for startup, you should have some, prerequisites. And these prerequisites are very important to check by your own self rather than told by somebody else. And that is, you should have something called as, very vibrant, disruptive business idea. If you are just coming with an idea like, which is used by somebody else, then definitely it is just, another business in the existing ecosystem, and that is not definitely expected when you expect to be treated as a startup. So the basic requirement is it should have a very disruptive and very ambitious, business idea. Why this ambitiousness is very important? Because these business ideas are very rarely, believed by the existing ecosystem. You will appreciate that when this Infosys was launched, no banker was ready to provide the financial assistance, because as per those days banking rules, every input need to be showcased with the output. And the software industry as such was very innovation for the Indian business. So it was very difficult to showcase the output for the inputs used. When we are talking about the startups, you have to be very careful, because the journey of startup is very painful. It is not like very, rosary bed is there and you are just going to walk on that like that. Okay. So you have to have the kind of support of the investors. If you see the type of variant of, startup, basically in India, we have startup of, e-commerce. And recently we have some good, businesses which has entered into edutech, but they are very less. Largely, we are running with, the e-commerce driven startups largely, and some are, adventuring in some other areas. But whatever you are doing, the investors should be betting on you. This is a very proper word, okay? With all the sanctity of the platforms, the investors are betting on the staggered returns. They are not investing on the basis of the profits or the revenue contribution, which need to be understood by you very carefully. And to make your business proposition very attractive, that is not the brochure or the advertisement or the slogan or a celebrity endorsement. That is not the startup. You have to go deep rooted and find out what way your startup is going to contribute the value to the consumers. The value generation is the crux of your business dimension. If the value is ignored, it is very difficult for the business to operate. And very good examples are there. What I would like to share with two examples, since I expect the HR panel will discuss about these aspects, but it is not only the employment capacity of the startups, but the women entrepreneurship is really appreciated by the world community. And across the world, India is now standing third. Earlier, it was the rank of United Kingdom, and fourth was Germany. But because of the pandemic last year, our contribution in the number of startups and the number of unicorns in the global startup is increased. In the first 10 years, you will appreciate, probably everyone must have studied also, India had contributed 30 unicorns only up to 11 to 20. But last year in 2021, there were 41 additional contributions. So India has contributed more than 80 unicorns type of size of startups, and that is why we are just on the third number after United States of America and China. The third rank is there for India, and that is really appreciable because the kind of investment, if you see the $1 billion investment club of unicorns, is majoritarily contributed by the foreign fundings. Largely, since our own traditional business sector is very reluctant to invest in startups. If you see the major contributors, they are from the SoftBank of Japan. Then we have Alibaba of China, and then we have US, Sequoia. So these are the three contributors of the major club of unicorns from India. And I'm expecting that rather you should learn from your functional areas like finance or marketing or like that. It is better to focus from where the opportunity is available. As I told in the beginning, that it is majoritarily the contribution of e-commerce companies or some of the process things. But space is a new area which the government is expecting a large of contribution in the format of startups. So being, Vidyalankar as a technical institute, as a reputed institute, I'm really, expecting that some contribution from your side should take place in those, awaiting areas where the challenges are less and you can contribute really good. When we talk about the HR aspect, I should tell the two names, which again, I'm expecting the HR people should talk very categorically, Swati Bhargav and Falguni Nair. Okay, one is started the Cash Karo and other is Nika. So you should really, see that this startup is really going to be the, new thing as far as the economy is concerned, as far as the challenges which are there for the country is concerned. The startup is really having the broad shoulders, and I'm sure the panel discussion will take us to the more specific insights. And I am very, anxious to listen to those young panelists and how they take about this journey of startups, budding startup entrepreneurs to motivate and to, show the potential for them. As just passing remark, like state of Maharashtra, why we should talk more loudly about it is among the entire nation, Maharashtra has got the first ranking with more than 12,000 recognized startups, and the state of Maharashtra is taking very peculiar and specific efforts to encourage the startups. So I'm expecting all these dimensions will be discussed, and if you require, I'm there to give you more and specific inputs. That's all from my side as the introduction to topic. Wherever the space is available, I will again, give the more inputs. I think that is sufficient. Otherwise, I will eat away the entire time. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Now I request our marketing panel to continue with their presentation. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. Namaskar everyone. My name is Dr. and I welcome you all to this panel discussion. Anyone today in marketing business talks about startup, right? Sir even described that, because startups are exploding like never before. And in business, I think the main can say important rule is survival of fittest. And I think the same rule goes for the startups as well. So, because according to statistics, 76% of startups fail in their initial stages. Now, there are many reasons because of which they fail. One of them might be inadequate finance or maybe not a good business planning. But one of the prominent reasons is lack of business strategy. So, in today's panel discussion, marketing is going to speak about the same. In the panel, we have Ms. Bhavna Thakur from XYBMS, Ms. Riya Singh from XYBMS, and Ms. Rimam Patra from XYBMS. So, Rimam, can you help us understand how marketing helps this startups?
Okay, let's understand the importance of marketing. As we all know, business is to make money, and marketing is an essential channel to reach the goal. Without marketing, I think business wouldn't exist, because marketing is like the heart of business. To make business survive, it's need marketing. And the stronger it is, the healthier your business will be. We have selected what we believe to be the 5 key benefits marketing brings to your business and how it has the power to build the business as you desire. Let's begin with our first key. It's spread your name. Good marketing helps you to put your product or service at front of every customer mind. As we know, marketing helps to establish your brand. For example, take Apple. If someone needs a brand new smartphone, it's likely that an Apple is one of. In fact, in 2020, Apple announced the total number of Apple devices has surpassed 1 billion. Friends, can you guess what? Marketing campaigns were success in this business, reaching this milestone and making it global today. Here we go with our second key. It's boost your sales. Once you found a way into your customer awareness, your chance of being able to sell your product, service, or brand to them have appreciably improved. Without marketing, this sales wouldn't have been possible. Here we go with our third key. It's help to gain and retain your customer. Once your brand has solid foundation and made its name, marketing will enable you to retain your customer and create a solid following of loyal consumer. Now, next, our fourth key, it's enhance your company reputation. So we all know that for any successful startup, you need to heavily rely on strong, trustworthy reputation. Marketing actually helps you to build your brand name and recognition. So your reputation growth, which will get boost to your business and sales, because an ever growing reputation will always help you to smartly communicate with your targeted audience, and marketing is a vital component in all this. The last, our fifth key, it's save your time. Furthermore, by promoting your product or your service through marketing, any startup business get boost to your sales and can reach higher targeted audience more fast. Effective marketing always help you to get discover audience, and you can engage with them, enabling you to get on with your duties critically to your business and to make your business successful. Now, I requested Bhavna to go ahead and explain the challenges faced by marketing of startup.
Yes, sure. Every entrepreneur wishes to promote his business in any way he can. Marketing plans are made, different types of marketing is done. May it be guerrilla marketing or social media marketing. Everyone needs a single word, which is attention. Publicity stunts are so common nowadays that it seems to be a normal practice to anyone and everyone out there. But is this really how you tackle these challenges? No. So let us note down the challenges which are faced by the marketers. The first pointer is no exposure. Sometimes it happens that the company does very well in its initial months in terms of marketing. However, later on the graph decreases significantly. The main reason behind it is low exposure. There isn't much scope of exposure once the company is established and it did good in its start. That's the mentality of most of the entrepreneurs. However, one needs to understand that exposure comes with expansion and right strategies. It won't come to you. You have to go behind it. The next pointer is finding right marketing channels. You have a marketing plan, you have a strategy, but you don't know where to use it. There are so many channels that you are confused between them. Which is the most reliable? Which will give you more benefits? Which will provide you with your target crowd? All these questions are answered by a single word, which is research. It's important to research not only about the market, but different marketing channels. Keep tabs on potential channels. Evaluate all the pros and cons, and you will have the best option in your hand. The next pointer is not effective social media presence. Social media is one of the most trending practices worldwide. However, it brings along the biggest marketing challenges for all the entrepreneurs. It seems like everyone is trying to promote their business on social media. Social media users have grown so tired that they have started ignoring these kinds of pages and anything related to entrepreneurship. At this time, you need to make your presence known. Seems difficult? No, absolutely not. Here is where your marketing plan comes into use. Make use of your target crowd you choose, hunt them down, and make it a point. Be honest towards them, but at the same time, give them something to think about. Make your product that strong. Now, let's understand how to tackle these challenges by my teammate Ria, who will be explaining how social media can be used as a solution to all these challenges.
So here, social media gives startup a great opportunity to reach the targeted audience through an influencer marketing platform, video content, and other instruments. So now we will here discuss in detail about social media startup. Okay, first let's see how it's boost brand awareness. Companies all over the globe have naturally managed to develop the brand awareness through social media, as social media plays a major role in marketing. So now let's here understand how it's increased customer loyalty. As you all know, customer loyalty matter most in marketing. Customer loyalty increase profit, improve sales, success, and allow for a continuous growth. Now here, increase in target audience. The uniqueness of social media marketing in the fact that companies get to specify who will see their ad, and the most important one, how their ads will be presented. This is possible through social media marketing channel. Last but not the least one, implementing social media marketing. A well implemented social media marketing strategy can help you to reach your business to a new level of success. Not only a social media platform help you to connect with a target audience, it also increase awareness and boost your lead and sales to a great extent. Okay, now let's see how COVID has impacted to the startups. Now, as you all know, COVID has impacted in many startups. So let's first here see the primal effect of COVID. As per the studies and survey shows that approximately 95% firms were impacted negatively due to national lockdown imposed in April 2020. 70% of businesses remain disputed till August 2020, even after a progressive unlocking reports suggest that almost 40% businesses remain interrupted till the end of February 2020. The lockdown has not only impacted daily businesses operations, but it has also forced this startup into preparing for future plans. To cut down their employee salaries, various startup founders have also taken pay cuts to the limit losses. Now here, why should small businesses should adopt digital marketing strategy? Effective digital marketing strategy help small businesses to run online habits of customers so they can better target ideal customers. They will also allow you to create personalized and very targeted marketing campaigns for specific types of people and eventually turn them into buying customer. And it's build brand recognition and healthy competition between businesses. So here, government has also impacted help to promote startup by various schemes. Now here, my partner Bhavna will elaborate those schemes for us.
So let us have a glance to the support provided by the government for these startups. Government of India and Ministry has launched several unique government schemes and programs designed to empower startups in India. When it comes to micro and small, medium enterprises and startups, then the government of India is very clear. They need to be nurtured, protected, and encouraged for the India's betterment. Government has taken an initiative with a website campaign that is #StartupIndia. This website provides us a short tool to all the beginners how they can build strong marketing strategies and plans. They often run few programs in which the beginners are supposed to participate in the challenges, workshops, events hosted by the corporate companies and government departments for the chance to win various cash prizes, incubation, and fundings. There's a private section or a guide to partner with Startup India, where you can connect with relevant ministries or departments for potential partnership opportunities. Entrepreneurs can pitch their ideas or get feedback from the investor through this portal. Startup India Network. Beginners get an opportunity to browse through all the profiles of over 49 lakh plus users, send connection requests to engage with other users. Startup India Showcase. In this particular section, government has provided all the resources like market research reports, list of patents, list of trademarks, Startup India blog, Startup India action plan, discussion forum, Startup India kit, newsletters, national innovation, and startup policy. There's a particular section known as COVID-19 research section. It provides us the detailed information and resources for the startup ecosystem. Here we get an opportunity to explore India's best handpicked products, startups of country. Government is engaging all the budding entrepreneurs to various international bridges. Market access guides for startups to global, including all the 13 countries and partner programs. Now, I would like to call up Janvi to conclude our marketing panel.
Thank you so much, Bhavna. So I think we can conclude by saying that marketing can make or break any startup's, future plan. Like it can break its success. So I think the good research and good planning about your business before starting it may help us to ensure it's smooth working. So with this, I conclude our marketing panel discussion, and I now request Rabab Fatima Aga to start finance panel discussion. Thank you.
Thank you, Janvi. So, hello everyone. My name is Rabab Fatima Aga, and today I would like to start my discussion by conveying the importance of finance. Finance is the lifeblood of a business that's sustainable. Startup companies require finance at different stages of growth. In the initial phases of the business, pre-seed fund is required. For the startup to test the feasibility of their idea, apart from it, startup companies require seed fund to conduct market research. The funding for startup companies can be venture capital. We need to address the issues related to finance with respect to raising capital, working capital requirements, and cash flow management of startup company for efficient business management. Startups are usually great in operations and strategy, but what can set them apart from failing ventures is their knowledge on finance. A founder with a good understanding of the finance function will be in a much better position to drive their venture to success. There are many more financial aspects that is to be taken into consideration for a startup. And to explain this today, we have with us my co-panelists, Ms. Shruti Bhagat, Mr. Awais Firoz Dabir, and Mr. Varad Gupta. And now to take this discussion further, I would like to call upon Mr. Varad Gupta, who will brief us with the different schemes provided by the government for startups. Thank you. Over to you, Varad.
Yes.
Okay, thank you, Rabab. Due to some technical issues, I will be speaking from this mic. Good afternoon, everyone. India's MSME, micro, small, and medium enterprises sector is a significant contributor to its rapid socio-economic development. There are approximately 60 million MSMEs today, generating turnover of more than 300 crores. The startup industries isn't lagging either. Some 3,000 startups are emerging per year and are predicted to create over 2.5 lakh jobs in the upcoming years. No, it's not working. Okay, I'll continue. India's entrepreneurial spirit is undying. However, there is one roadblock, and the roadblock is all about capital shortage. To deal with this, our government, Indian government, has launched numerous projects, has launched numerous government schemes to support businessmen, to support the startup. So here are the top government schemes for MSME and startup you may consider. Our first scheme is Pradhan Mantri Mudra Yojana. Second scheme, Raw Material Assistance. Third scheme, CLSC scheme. So as we can see, as we can understand from this, that Indian government is not only helping, Indian government is not only supporting by monetary means, they are also supporting with raw material assistance, technology upgradation, and manpower providings. By this, we can understand this, that our government is supporting entrepreneurs, businessmen, so that they can stand confidently in this cutthroat and competitive market. Including government, there are some private institutes, there are some private companies, those are supporting the startups. They are Tata Capital and InfoEdge. These companies offer attractive loans for startups. They provide structured EMI, minimum paperwork, significant eligibility terms, and an array of exclusive benefits. Now, let us have a quick glance towards the facts of this Startup India. There are more than 50 startups government schemes overall, from covering over all the parts of the startups. Government of India has allotted 10,000 crores for supporting startups. Out of that, 6,000 crores have been allotted for technology application. Around 4,09,938 number of MSME sellers and service providers have been benefited by the scheme from 2020 to 2021. Around 2% interest rate subvention for GST registered MSME. Our Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman has declared one more extended year for tax holiday which says that startups have total 4 years of tax holidays. India has acquired increase in CAGR. For those who don't know what is CAGR, that is the compound annual growth rate, which has been increased by 18% from 2020 to 2021. At the end, I would like to conclude by stating few facts, which have been noticed in this budget 2021. These all facts have been noticed in this by Nirmala Sitharaman has stated. First, India is the third largest startup ecosystem after US and China. The second fact is Delhi saw more than 3,000 new startups from 2019 to 2020. By stating these current facts, I'll proudly say that my India is growing. But COVID has adversely affected this startup investment sector. Most startups have withdrawn, most startups have faced the struggle between the demand and supply. So let us know more about this. Let us know more how exactly COVID have impacted. So I request Shruti to please take over the panel.
Thank you, Bharat. As COVID has impacted everyone's life and business, the government has come with new scheme to overcome this COVID-19. The first scheme is Nidhi COVID scheme. Under this scheme, it mitigates various challenges faced by the government due to COVID-19, provide funds to eligible startups, promising funding solution in the thrust area of oxygen, innovation, relevant medical accessories, etc. It also helps in financial and mental support for scaling up. The second scheme is incentive COVID scheme. Under this scheme, 75% of telecommunication, digital science, science and technology, funding over 2,028 crores to 1,500 startup companies. Here, the third scheme talks about it provides working capital to startup company. It ensures employees' safety and financial stability. It also helps in cash flow and liquidity to pay salary, wages, rent, etc. Now let's talk about how COVID is effect on startup. So, deep in overall funding. Due to COVID-19, the startup companies are affected by 50% fall in funding, 40% were negatively impacted. Discontinue operation. Due to lockdown, the entrepreneurs have to discontinue the operation. 15% of Indian startups are majorly affected. Startup companies have identified hiring purchase. Due to lockdown, the new startup companies who was hiring employees in the company had stopped recruiting. This also means there is increase in unemployment. The fourth point is focus on profitability and reduce cash flow. Before this phrase, the company keeps some amount of the reserve every year. But during this COVID, the company faced lack of assets. Now let's talk about how COVID is effect on startup. Major challenge. Startup companies have faced major challenge in cash flow. Pay cuts, whereas startup founders have also pay cut the limit and losses faced due to COVID. Falling investment. The investment is fallen by $1.73 billion in March 2019 to $0.33 billion in March 2020. So, at last, now I call my fellow panelist Avis to discuss financial challenges toward COVID-19.
Thank you, Shruti. Do you know why startup company failed to raise finance? Here are the few reasons why startup company failed to raise finance. 17% of time startup company failed to raise finance because business model is not viable. 11% failed because of no market needs and 9% failed because of technical product issue and so on. Now, there are top 4 major financial challenges faced by the startup company. There are 20% of small business fail in first year operation. Only 50% give market with 5 years of operation. Finance has become a huge challenge for a startup company in the beginning. as well as at the time of growth. The reason is only 23% of loans are approved by the big banks and 49% of loans are approved by the small bank. Therefore, entrepreneurs need to look for crowdfunding, selling, invoices, and partnership. Thereafter is poor cash flow. When startup company grow, there is always need for liquid cash. If liquidity is not there, that means your business is facing some loss. To avoid such things, there is a need to set up a contract with the customer for timely payment of credit. Thereafter is why increasing the sale did not result into satisfied profit. The entrepreneur has to examine what are the major reasons behind overspending and hidden costs. It can be solved through effective purchasing policy and analysis of expense and selecting the correct vendor who is ready for negotiation. Thereafter, and the last is poor financial management. The entrepreneur can solve this problem by doing detailed business planning and analysis of cash inflow and outflow regularly. How we can overcome financial challenges? There are the few ways from which we can overcome the financial challenges. The first way is buckle down and remove the non-essential costs. The entrepreneur has to analyze his business expense so that he can find out from where and how he can reduce the cost and find out the process that costs him the most. Another way is change the way you budget. Startup company budget should be tightened and allocated in such a way that will help the startup company to gain profit. And they should postpone any plans for expansion, event, or any other activity that require a lot of money. Thereafter is change your sales strategy. The entrepreneur should evaluate his sales strategy to find out whether they are effective or not. And that's how he will be able to know what needs to be changed or fixed. And the last one is monitor your cash flow. Entrepreneur should monitor his cash flow on regular basis because this will help him to completely understand his income and expense, and this he will be able to know about his profit and loss and what is hampering his cash flow. How we can overcome funding problems? There are the two steps from which startup company can overcome the funding problem. The first one is bank loan. The entrepreneur can overcome the funding problems by getting loan through the bank, but getting loan from the bank is difficult. And the other way is capital raising strategy. The entrepreneur should know the best capital raising strategy which will help him to solve some of the finance issue in the business. Some of the most commonly used mode of business fundings are self-funding, bank loan, venture capital, angel investment, and so on. Thank you. Now my co-panelist Rabab will do the conclusion. Over to you, Rabab. Thank you.
Thank you, Avis. Now that we have understood about the various government schemes provided to startups, how did the COVID phase affect it? And lastly, what are the different financial challenges faced by startups and how they overcame it? For that, we would like to conclude a finance discussion of startups. Now, I request our HR panelist, Ms. Neha Rani Mondal, to take over the session to discuss the HR aspects of startups. Thank you. Over to you, Neha.
Thank you, Rabab. Am I audible? Hello everyone. Hello, sir. I'm Nehrani Mondal from HR panel. Welcome you all to this discussion. Now, as Steve Weiner once said, human resource isn't a thing we do. It's the thing that runs our business. And to understand in a more better way, via HR's perspective for Startup India, I am here with my fellow panelists, Rishika Mishra from SYBMS, Raish Nada from SYBMS, and Hariom Upadhyay from FYBMS. So while talking about Startup India, sir also described regarding Cash Karo and Nika startups in India that happened. So there are not only marketing and finance perspective, but also human resource, that is HR, that has an equal contribution in this. There can be strategies, policies, challenges, and many more. And to understand the various strategies of HR in Startup India, I hand over the discussion to my fellow panelist, Raish Nadab. Over to you, Raish.
Thank you, Neha. As rightly quoted by Neha, human resource isn't a thing we do. It's a thing that runs our business. A lot of startups have failed in 1 year of operation due to several reasons, including not having an HR strategy. People usually think that HR management is only important for big companies, but that's not true. All the businesses, including startups, require HR management. Understanding the latest HR trends, which can bring a huge difference as far as startups are concerned. Here are some of the few HR strategies for HR who used in a startup. Networking. People usually think that networking is about handing out business cards and having lunch with them. But it may be a part of it, but that's not nearly a whole story. Well, networking is about building relationship. And as an HR, how can you build a relationship? Let's have a look. Firstly, attend a startup business event. This include entrepreneurship seminars, award events, conferences, which brings all the entrepreneurs together and help them to learn new skills, keep up with the current trends, curate a great network, and become a thoughtful leader. Join a meetup. Joining a meetup can put you in touch with others and alert you to other useful events as well. Use social media platforms. Well, social media can really help you to connect with the people in tech-savvy fields. Also, people are on these platforms are marketing their products and services, so you can interact with them. Also, these platforms are not limited by location, so you can interact with your fellow entrepreneurs or customers from different regions of the world. Use your email. While face-to-face interaction allows a person to grow their list of acquaintances, but for that you need to get those meetings at the first place. And how are you going to do that is quite simple. Send them an email. After identifying a person who might be useful to talk, send them an email with an expression of appreciation of their work, an explanation about how valuable their feedback must be for you. Stay connected with your connections. Well, doing all of the above is great, but if you don't keep in touch with your connections, all your hard work won't be sustained. Follow up with them, but not too much. Can we have the next slide, please? Implementation of legal employment practices. It is critical for startups to ensure that their hiring practices are in line with the legal employment rules and regulations. And the best way to implement these practices is through an HR professional who maintains a handbook consist of rules and regulations with him. Employee development. It refers to the resources an employer provides to its employees so that he can acquire great skills and accreditations. Mid-level employees in one-on-one training and development session. By doing so, you can make your employees more informed about the goals, mission, and vision of the company. Lastly, and most importantly, organization development. It focuses on business effectiveness and profitability through adoption of behavioral science knowledge. After mapping out issues such as existing organizational structure and long-term trajectory, organization can take action through practices such as behavioral modeling, sensitivity training, and transactional analysis. Well, we have understood some of the strategies and how an HR make connections to develop relationship in order to take the startup to another level. But now let's dive deep inside about the role of an HR in a startup. And for that, I think Rishika would be in a better place to throw some light on it. Over to you, Rishika.
Thank you. Firstly, I hope I'm visible and audible. So as a very good morning to everyone present. As Rice mentioned, my goal here today is to talk about the role of HR at a startup. So to begin with, for a startup, human resources plays a very crucial role, which is something neglected by most of the entrepreneurs these days, unfortunately. It's human resources at a startup which should invest a lot of time in building the startup brand and building strategy in the minds of its people. Out of the box HR practices can bring the best talent to a startup. For example, as a startup cannot try and compete with big organizations only when it comes to their compensation packages, but it also has to look for other ways to attract and motivate the employees at the very same time. As it is rightly said, to win the marketplace, you must first win the workplace. So talking about the roles of HR, the very first would be attracting the right talent. So everyone here would agree with me, hiring plays a very important role in any organization. It is rightly said, having the right mix of candidates is the key factor for every organization's success. In case of startups, the biggest challenge is to be able to indulge in talent war, attract the best talent, and try to retain it simultaneously. HR therefore needs to invest a lot of time in building their startup brand building strategies to attract potential candidates for their organizations. Both startup as well established firms are involved in talent war. Therefore, HR at a startup cannot compete only in terms of compensation package, but they also have to manage and think of out of the box HR practices to attract and motivate the best employees by challenging them from time to time. The second role of HR would be defining organizational culture. We all here have sensed cultural changes. So let me shed more light on it by the example of sheer difference in changing schools as we were kids. In the same manner, it varies from company to company, but with more of a professional mindset. Culture in its simplest form is a set of shared assumptions that develop over a period of time. The HR department is responsible for strengthening the organization's culture, from targeting desirable profiles to recruiting, onboarding, motivating, and retaining the employees. It is very important to focus on all of these factors from the very initial stage of a startup. Third, the role of HR I would want to talk about is managing Gen Y. So here we will learn about managing a particular generations, also known as the millennials. So time and again, it has been proved that brand name is never enough or enough factor to retain skilled forces. HR at startups have to continuously reinvent ways to ensure that Gen Y is fully engaged at all the given times. Along with having employees in a startup working on multiple number of roles, there needs to be a strategy to involve these top performers and take their input in more crucial decision-making processes. Discussing and having a clear growth strategy goes a very long way in managing Gen Y. Last but not the least, I would want to talk about leadership development. Since the workforce of startup at an initial stage is quite small, the HR department needs to continuously have an eye for the most enthusiastic and skilled employees and accordingly allocate the responsibilities to them, and which would develop more of a leadership skill in them. Having an opportunity to show their skills sometimes causes employees to outperform themselves, which again is a win-win situation for any given startup. Success of startup does not entirely depend upon the way of approach towards one's business goal, but it also depends on how a startup performs in given worst business scenarios. So the next thing I would also want to focus about is women entrepreneurship in India. Well, men largely dominate the arena of business, while women are still striving and finding their place in every industry. Entrepreneurship is not much behind in their pursuit. The realm of business is opening up new opportunities for female seeking their rights. Women entrepreneurship is a branch of business completely initiated and controlled by a woman. So I would also like to talk about two of the biggest names in women entrepreneurship in India. The first being Falguni Nair, is a businesswoman turned entrepreneur and the founder of Nykaa cosmetic products. The online platform started off its operation in 2012 and it is currently valued as an unicorn and one of the high valued startup. Talking about Falguni Nair being an IIM graduate, spent over 20 years in Kotak Mahindra at various roles and positions. With only 60 online orders per day back in 2012, Nykaa has rose to be the largest platform in beauty and wellness products in India. Falguni Nair is the richest self-made millionaire in India, and currently the company is worth around 1.5 billion US dollars. The next example I would want to talk about is Vinita Singh. We are well aware as we are in a flow of Shark Tank India these days, being the generation of OTT platforms and reality shows. So back in 2007, the startup was a very new thing in India, where Vinita Singh, the founder and CEO of Sugar Cosmetics, is a homegrown cosmetic company primarily tailored and made to match the Indian skin tone. This fierce founder sensed a huge gap in Indian cosmetic space. The cosmetic company were mostly a foreign player understand the Indian skin tone, whereas Vinita Singh put her strategy in working, and Sugar Cosmetics is at Indian diaspora and with a worth of 100 CR. So I would like to end it by also saying that HR is said to be the driver of the organization and the one who has to make sure everything runs as smoothly as possible. At the same time, there are a number of challenges faced by HR. So here is Hariom to shed more light on the obstacles. Over to you, Hariom.
Thank you, Rishika. We're going to discuss some of the major challenges faced by HR in startups. HR has to handle many challenges in organization, like talent acquisition and retention, bringing new technologies in organization, employees' mental health and well-being, and lack of support from top management. First, we're going to discuss about talent acquisition and retention. Talent acquisition is refers to the process of identifying and hire skilled worker to meet your organizational need. In order to recruit and hire the best talent, companies must be ally their planning and talent acquisition strategy across departments in order to identify, target, and attract the most qualified candidate for given role. In addition, developing employees and maintaining morale among their labor force. Next challenge is technology. Bringing new technology in the organization and giving training to the employees is one of the biggest challenges faced by HR because technology is constantly changing and startups do not have enough money to train employees again and again because this is expensive. Business must be quick to adapt or risk being left in the dust by their competitors. The challenge for small business owners is getting employees to embrace innovation and learn new technology. Next was mental health and well-being. The sudden shift in work culture took a toll on overall employee health and well-being. Stress, anxiety, and other mental health issues have always been there, and it is no new story. Organizations have always been initiating wellness programs and providing employees with security, health benefit, and flexibility to help them overcome their health issues. Next, and one of the biggest challenges faced by HR is lack of support from top management. It means allowing workers to develop and use their skill and abilities. Manager causes single a lack of support when they fail due to this. Managers often fail to provide support in specific ways. It's important for you to understand that your experience facing and overcoming adversity is actually one of your biggest advantages. Challenges are what makes life interesting. Overcoming them is what makes life meaningful. Handing and again over to you, Neha.
Thank you, Hariom. Hope am I audible? So with this, I conclude this discussion from
from the HR's perspective. And for a short summary, today in this panel discussion, we discussed various human resource strategies for startup, which includes networking, employee development, etc., along with a few roles of different HR drivers for Startup India. Even we learned various examples regarding Nykaa, Sugar Cosmetics, and many more. And lastly, challenges faced by HR for the same. Hope you all found this discussion helpful and informative. And with this, I conclude that HR's panel discussion is ended here. Thank you.
Now I request Ms. Hetvi Dedia ma'am to continue with the session.
Hello. Very well done, all the all the panelists. It was a really good discussion. And now I would like to call Dr. Sameer Kulkarni, sir, to summarize our discussion, and then we can open for question and answer session.
Shall I conclude for all the three panels, or we will go by one? How you would like me to summarize the thing?
Sir, you can conclude for all the three teams, sir.
Okay. First of all, I would like to congratulate all the participants. But some specific things I would like to bring to your notice. You are on one hand, participating as the specialized panelist for startup, and there is some more inputs required. Okay. When we talk about marketing, I would like to tell you very briefly, because it will shape your thought process, and that is my approach. In marketing, whether it is a small business or big business, when it is specifically the small business or startup, you need to be very careful in the basic three elements of marketing. That is STP. That is, you should be very crystal clearly available with the segment. You must be aware about who is your targeted consumer. Okay, so that is very essential. When you are talking about, you should conduct market research. See, the entrepreneurs or startup itself is the offshoot of your creative idea. And that creative idea is validated if it is based by some proper consumers. Proper means the sizable consumers. That is the commercialization aspect of your innovation. So the segmentation should identify who is your customer. Second is targeting, means why they will buy you product or your concept. If you see the numbers of startups, we are harping on it, or we are shouting very proudly as the government, or the agencies, you will rarely find manufacturing startups are really contributing a lot. It is the services. And when we are talking about services, your marketing approach need to be very specific. You cannot use the same tools of product marketing. So targeting is mainly focused for finding out the RTB, that is reason to believe. When we are talking about marketing research, you should categorically indicate that why the companies or startups fail, because they don't able to locate the reason why the customer should trust on them. Okay, and then the subsequent problem starts. No investor is ready in them. Then no, buddy is there to support from the finance. So that is something the research should be for finding out the STP, the segmentation, who is your customer, why the customer should believe, and third is the position, how the competitive environment will help you to find out. Not only networking is possible for very big business. You cannot suggest networking as a marketing solution or HR solution or finance solution to a startup. Like the startup you people are mentioning, they are individuals. Now the individual is aware about it. when it comes to the problem of maintaining the network as a relationship issue, when the substitute manager is working on your behalf, if it is the owner know his business more than any manager. That is the ownership, isn't it? So marketing research need to be conducted, very true, but for the basics, not for a big business like problem. Second is then the finance. Okay, stage wise funding and all other, very beautifully elaborately explained. Like your friend Varad Gupte, no? If I'm not mistaken, Varad Gupte has given you a lot of schemes. But do you really think that startups are really getting boosted by the government scheme? If you see the definition of startup, you will come to know that definition itself is highlighting that startup are the businesses which are started by the own funding. Okay, and you just see like when the exact problems start for financing, it is not the seed capital, it is some other stage the finance problem start. And you cannot suggest the administrative solutions to tackle the finance problem. Like, the big businesses, they face the financial problem because different reason, and the startup face the finance problem because of the different reason. So you need to be very specific, like what are the reasons of a startup to face the finance? Okay, and accordingly, you need to suggest the solutions. You cannot say like your working capital requirement is a problem. The entire ambient in which the startup is floating, at least in initial days, I can name you, at least 20 to 30 startups. Because today starting a startup has become, a just like, an offshoot. And people are starting the businesses or startups with the most deadliest thing of the type of business called as cash burn business model. So if you are burning your own cash initially, there is no assurance that you are going to become a Facebook. Facebook was, initially a cash burn model. And if you are unable to come out of that cash burn system, then you are getting trapped with the financial crunch. So you need to specifically find out why the major, businesses are contributed by the foreign funders. And when government is, shouting like, we will give you support, why there is a limitation. If you could analyze this thing, then you will come to know the reasons of the startup facing the financial issues. And the last one, the HR. See, when you are mentioning that there is no support of the top management, who is the top management? The startup owner is the highest authority. Now, why the startup owner will not support anybody to support the HR practices? You take the example of another lady who has destroyed the business empire of a corporate house in the healthcare sector. That brand name is very popularly called as VLCC, Vidyalutra's fitness centers. And she took over with the the Kaya clinics. Kaya clinics were floated by none other than your company who holds the famous brand like Saffola. And this battle was defeated not only in India but outside India. And a single entrepreneur proved that that kind of commitment is enough to defeat a big conglomerate. So in HR issue also, you have to have the inside out approach. Okay, the entrepreneurship is facing the problem because of the environment, and that is definitely some different problems the HR sector is faced in case of the startups. See, government has floated why the India could reach to the third stage is because of the 7 pillars which Indian government has selected as the area to support the entrepreneurs. And Do you people know which are the 7 pillars which are selected by the government to provide the systematic support to the startups? That is, one of the thing is outreach. This outreach need to be studied as a replacement for your relationship or networking. Okay, because outreach is something which is going to solve almost all the problems, and a very strategic efforts are initiated by the government. Then we have 2 type of funding. I was expecting some more inputs from the finance people, finance panel on this. That is venture support, venture capital support, and seed capital support. Out of the 7 pillars, these are the 2 pillars which are really, contributing a lot in the startup to take care of their finance related issues. Then comes the incubation support. See, technology replacement is not the issue for the startup. Largely, the startups have come in the last year, 2021. Okay, so it means those people who had served in the big multinational companies and they have enjoyed fat salaries, they have, fed up with their corporate life and they have started their own startups. So you have almost 21 unicorns from India, which are like those only. And you have to look from that angle. When we are talking about the public procurement, it is also going to be nurturing the demand side problems of the startups. The startups are not supposed to use the mainline marketing activities. The government is opening its own procurement policies so that it will be able for becoming the government supplier for all type of the startups. Then come the simplification in regulation. The government is making its own rules simplified for the startups so that the startup can have no hindrances to face with the established big businesses, and some type of institutional support is also provided. So your panel's contribution was very good, but I'm expecting more sharper approach for studying the startup as how it will take over the challenges in the environment. Whenever you are starting your own business, your focus need to be very crystal clear about analysis of the environment. What is the environment? How you are going to face the problem, and what type of support is possible by exploring the environment. So that's all from my side in the narration. You people are really doing well, looking into your study level. It was good, and my job is to sharpen it more, to provide you a very strong and rigid framework so that your thought will take a proper flow. Over to the faculty members or the host who is taking other things. Yeah.
Thank you so much, sir, for your valuable guidance. Now I request Professor Vinita Singh ma'am to take over the vote of session. Thank you, sir.
So thank you, Samir sir, for being with us. Now I will move on with the formal vote of thanks. Good afternoon, everyone. Today's international panel discussion on Startup India, Redefining India's Growth, Drivers, Challenges and Pillars of Support, which is organized by Vidyalankar School of Information Technology in collaboration with National Development Corporation. And in the 2 days session, we had speakers from different walks of life. First day of the session, we had Mr. Rajesh Ratnam, CEO, Leather Sector Skill Council, NSDC. And there is no doubt that the session has highlighted various state government support and what is the expected mindset of aspiring entrepreneurs and guidelines to phases of entrepreneurship. I extend my gratitude, Mr. Rajesh Ratnam, for knowledge enriched session. And today's the huge challenge faced by any startup company is its sustainability. Session by Mr. Sumit Nag, Innovative Strategy Advisor, has answered for building a successful startup company. And he has highlighted 10 success mantra like delivering experience, adding value to the product, and what is the need of soft skill if you want to become an entrepreneur other than business skill, and the need of networking. And he has given the directions for pitching the idea. And our thanks to Mr. Smithna for motivating young entrepreneurs with success mantras. And our students are also privileged to hear from Mr. Gautam Rathod, who is the director of Rich Pharma Chemicals. And he has made the session very interactive and interesting through live case studies. And I also extend my thanks to the moderator of today's panel discussion, Dr. Samir Kulkarni, professor of Amity University. The panel has taken the right path of healthy discussion under the direction of Dr. Samir Kulkarni. I hope the advice, the guidelines whichever given by you to the panel will be taken care by them in the next panel discussion. Thank you once again, sir, for your guiding, for your guidance, and to the students who want to become a young entrepreneurs to overcome the pitfalls while keeping the promises. Main highlight of today's program is none other than panel discussion. Our student panelists who have exchanged their ideas on drivers and challenges of any startup with perspective to finance, marketing, and human resource management. I really appreciate our students' efforts and their team leaders for directing their panel members' discussion in the right path. Once again, I congratulate my students for their participation and healthy discussion on the topic. Here we acknowledge the support and encouragement given by our principal, Dr. Rogini Kelkar ma'am, for conducting student-centric program. I would like to mention our thanks to our Vice Principal, Mr. Vijay Kavade, and Chief Academic Officer, Dr. Lakshmi Kavita ma'am, for being the pillars of support. I express my gratitude to Ms. Sindhu Krishnan, Head of BBA Department, and Ms. Yashoda for their extended support. Special mention to our BMS faculty for their tireless guidance to the students in spite of their busy lecture schedule. Success of this panel discussion would not be possible without the backbone support of our Enactus Management Club student. There is no words of appreciation for their technical marketing support right from the point of coining of an idea for panel discussion till its execution. I also extend my sincere thanks to the participants who had a hunger to gain knowledge through panel discussion of such nature. And thank you, Samir Kulkarni sir, for being with us. And here I feel proud to say that he is the guide for my PhD thesis. Thank you once again, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
Over to you, Shreya.
Thank you, everyone. Now I request everyone to kindly switch on their camera.
किया ना ऑन है ये मेरा दिख रहा है किसी का करना है
Shreya, will you please confirm whether the photo shoot has been done?
Yes, it's done. Thank you so much. I request all the attendees to please fill the feedback form before leaving the session. It is provided in the chat box.
Students, just I'm pasting the link in the chat box. While filling up the form, you have to enter your Gmail ID. Once you fill up the form, you will get the certificate. And if you are having any trouble getting the certificate, then you can contact to Enactus team. If you're not filling the feedback form, you will not get the certificate. Just pasting the link in the chat box.
Thank you, Samir sir.
Yeah, thank you. I will switch on.
Yes,
Thank
sir.
you. Thank you. Thank you.
Don't leave the session, students. Check this chat box. Okay. Students, just check the feedback link in the chat box. Fill it and then only leave the meeting. And mention your Gmail ID where you will get the certificate. On your Gmail ID, you will get the certificate immediately.
Ma'am, can I end the meeting or I have to wait?